This one's easy. Farm sink templates. Last time I ran through the actual routing, so we'll go through template on this one. This one's a little bit easier as far as template goes because there shouldn't be much describing the template because it's relatively straight. It's supposed to come with its own little template constructions, but I don't trust them. Don't trust them. So let's run through how I set my template up. First thing you need to know is position of your countertop is the most critical. Sorry about all the noise, but it is what it is. We're on construction site. Position of your countertop on the sink, because what determines where the sink is going to sit front to back is where you want your countertop to land. In this particular case, usually I see farm sinks with the countertop landing right behind the lip of the front of the sink. So pretty standard placement there. Countertop's going to hang over the cabinet by 3/4 of an inch. That means countertop is going to land, focus, somewhere in there. Cabinet is going to land somewhere in there, and our template material is 1/4 inch thick, and so the blocking for the template gets glued on right there. For my template making material, I like to use this true 1/4 inch thick solid MDF all the way through. I find it easier to scribe. When I'm scribing, I try and keep everything flat because we're going to use it as a router, right? So when you're scribing this, you want to keep everything horizontal. You want to keep it flush. There shouldn't be much scribing involved because it's straight. So, but if we were getting into scribing, I'd use my little compass and then trace out the sink, and then I use my belt sander and orbital to trace out that line. Spend your time fitting these template pieces though, nice and square, keeping this profile nice and square to the sink, because that collar on that router bit has got to hit in this, right? For position on my backing, once we have the layout of the stone cabinet and the thickness of our template, I will level the sink, all right, front to back, and right here, and then you can plumb down. The traditional cast iron sinks tend to be all wonky, so if that's the case, I'll set a piece of plywood on top, and then you can level the top of the sink to the plywood, and then once the top is level, then you can use the plywood to square down, right? So now we're going to glue our template all together and transfer it to the face. Trim your tape so you get a nice tight fit. Come on. Anyways. Yeah. Coming out of my ear. Alright, got our template glued up. This side needed a little bit of buzz. My rip probably just wasn't very straight, so I just held it up there, and then I would hold my thumb in place where I wanted to cut the sand, and then I was just taking off a little bit with the palm sander. Again, if you're into scribing it, I'll go ahead and use one of my compasses. I'm having to dig her out here.
What to me is the guy, just the regular civilian that like squared up.
Oh yeah! Thanks, man. So, if you've got a radius, I'll use something like this, right? And you just trace down. You ready? Template glued up. I shoot these on with pin dangler, and then using the hot glue to glue these together. Now we'll go in and backfill our template to make it a full 1/2 inch thick. The pieces that I'm installing here and then here, I'm not worried about fitting to the sink, so we're gonna pop this off, sit it on the bench, and then put these pieces on here. This is what I mean by where we're backfilling, right? So going in and matching the height all the way around. We have a router sitting on this. Sit tight and flush, and then you're also going to backfill the underside. Now the side pieces that you put on, this is a piece that we scribed to the sink, right? So when I put this on, I'm not making sure I go over the line. I want to keep this back 1/16 of an inch. Now the bottom one that we're putting in, this one that we're backfilling, we want that tight to the inside, especially when you have the rounded corners. You want this connection in this corner that you're doing right here nice and tight, because this bottom piece is the actual one that the collar is going to slide on. So when that slides in, we want that nice and flush with the piece that we used on the bottom for our template. All right, once we got it glued up, I'll hold it up to the sink and make sure that we have a good fit, and then transfer it to the face frame, centered in position where we want to go, left to right. Trace it out. A lot of these have a solid face, so I'll trace it out and then cut majority of the material out, because sometimes these walls will want to spring in or out. So cut most material out, and then we'll go in for the final route pass. Got a whole other video on all of that. Thanks guys.